Biomed Nexus Daily Updates, your essential biotech, medtech, and pharma recap. No noise, just what matters. TLDR ASCO 2026 opens Thursday, May 29th to June 7th in Chicago. Revolution Medicines RVMD presents full Phase 3 Resolute 302 data in a plenary session on Saturday, May 31st. Truist projects a Daraxon receive approval by end of Q3. This is the most anticipated oncology event of the year. The FDA approved AstraZeneca, Daiichi Sankyo's Datraway, datopotamab deruxtecan, on May 22nd as a first-line treatment for unresectable or metastatic triple-negative breast cancer in patients ineligible for checkpoint inhibitor therapy. This is the second new ADC approval in the early first-line setting in 2 weeks, after Enhertu's early breast cancer label expansion on May 16th. The FDA granted Gilead accelerated approval for Hepcludex, bulevirtide, on May 23rd, making it the first and only approved treatment for chronic hepatitis delta virus (HDV) infection in the United States. Gilead shares rose 3%. The European Parliament and EU member states reached a provisional agreement on the Critical Medicines Act, CMA, a legislative initiative to strengthen medicine supply chains and reduce dependency on non-EU sources for critical APIs and raw materials. Executive takeaway: this is ASCO week. Revolution Medicines plenary session on Saturday is the event the entire oncology community has been building toward since the Phase 3 top-line readout on April 13th. We know the headline numbers: 13, 2 months median OS versus 6. 7 months HR, row 40, P, row 001, in second-line pancreatic cancer. What we do not know: PFS data, detailed subgroup analyses, mature survival curves, safety details, and the full tumor response assessment. These are the data points that will determine whether Daraxonrasib receives a broad or narrow label, how quickly it is adopted in clinical practice, and whether the commercial opportunity is at the low or high end of the 2B to 4B peak sales range. Truist projects an approval by end of Q3 under the CNPV program. If Revolution files shortly after or concurrent with ASCO, the 50-day Foundeo precedent could produce an approval by August or September. Beyond Revolution, ASCO will feature hundreds of abstracts across oncology with ADC data, checkpoint inhibitor combinations, and cell therapy updates drawing the most commercial interest. The ADC modality in particular is on a run. Datraway was approved for first-line TNBC on May 22nd, just 2 weeks after Enhertu's early breast cancer label expansion. The label expansions are coming faster than at any point in ADC history. Read full analysis, what to watch. ASCO plenary, Saturday, May 31st. Revolution Medicines full Phase 3, Resolute 302 data. Brian Wolpin, Dana-Farber, presenting PFS, subgroups, survival curves. ASCO broader coverage, ADC data across tumor types, next-generation checkpoint inhibitor combinations, cell therapy updates, CAR-T real-world evidence. We will cover the most significant data in daily emails through the conference. Revolution Medicines NDA filing, Truist projects, Q3 approval. Watch for a filing announcement at or shortly after ASCO. Commerce, Section 232 device report, still expected late May. This report, delayed from the original timeline, will inform the tariff framework for medical devices. Medtech companies, Medtronic, Boston Scientific, Abbott, Intuitive Surgical, Stryker, are watching closely. Medicare GLP-1 bridge, July 5 weeks out. The operational readiness of the Bridge program, which provides GLP-1 access for Medicare Part D beneficiaries at a $50 copay, will determine initial enrollment volume. Clinical and research updates. Datraway, approved for first-line triple-negative breast cancer. AZN. DSNKY, the FDA-approved AstraZeneca. Daiichi Sankyo's Datraway, datopotamab deruxtecan, on May 22nd as a first-line treatment for patients with unresectable or metastatic triple-negative breast cancer, TNBC who are not candidates for PD-1 or PD-L1 inhibitor therapy. Datraway is a TROP2-directed ADC. This is the second new ADC to receive a label expansion or approval in the early first-line setting in 2 weeks following Enhertu's early breast cancer approval on May 16th. The TNBC market has historically been among the hardest to treat, with limited targeted therapy options for patients who cannot receive immunotherapy. Datraway fills a critical gap. Gilead Hepcludex, approved as first-ever HDV treatment in the US, Gilead, the FDA granted accelerated approval for Gilead's Hepcludex, bulevirtide, on May 23rd for adults with chronic hepatitis delta virus HDV infection, making it the first and only approved treatment for HDV in the United States. HDV is the most severe form of viral hepatitis, affecting an estimated 12 million to 72 million people globally. Gilead shares rose 3% on the news. The approval adds another franchise to Gilead's hepatitis, HIV portfolio and complements its ongoing ADC and cell therapy diversification. Policy and regulatory EU locks in Critical Medicines Act. The European Parliament and EU member states reached a provisional agreement on the Critical Medicines Act, CMA, on May 22nd, according to the Pharma letter. The CMA is designed to strengthen medicine supply chains, reduce dependency on non-EU API and raw material sources, and establish strategic reserves of critical medicines. The legislation comes as the Iran war continues to disrupt pharmaceutical trade routes and global API supply chains. Separately, FPA warned that the US most favored nation pricing policy could widen disparities in access to new medicines across Europe as drug makers reassess launch and investment strategies. The Week in Review, May 19th, Monday. WHO Ebola. Peak response ongoing. Regeneron fianlimab, Phase 3, miss in melanoma. NEAID Acting Director Taubenberger stepped down. Takeda announced 4,500 global layoffs. May 20th, Tuesday. Merck SAC TMT, Phase 3 positive in endometrial cancer. Gilead Biotech ADC. FDA accepted a Sundexian NDA for stroke prevention, factor XIA. Regeneron Parabilis AHC partnership. May 21, Wednesday. FDA leadership cascade. Huig fired at CDER. Sarama out at CBER. Traficant removed as chief of staff. 5 CDAR heads in 1 year. Relay Therapeutics. 60% response in vascular anomalies, outpacing Novartis. AbbVie Rinvoq generics delayed to 2037, May 21st, Wednesday. Lilly Retatrutide Triumph 1 Phase 3 28, 3% weight loss at 80 weeks matching bariatric surgery. Truist 12B to 19B peak sales. Lilly acquired Engage Biologics, 7th deal. May 22nd, Thursday. Datraway approved for first-line TNBC, BioMarin Voxzogo. Phase 3 positive in hypochondroplasia. Bayer Kerendia priority review for T1D CKD, May 23, Friday. Gilead Hepcludex approved as first HDV treatment in the US-EU Critical Medicines Act agreement. The week ahead, Thursday, May 29th, ASCO 2026 opens, Chicago through June, South. Saturday, May 31st, ASCO plenary, Resolute 302 full data, RVMD. Late May, Commerce section. 232 report on medical devices expected May 29th. FDA RTCT public comment period closes June 4th. Jefferies Global Healthcare Conference, New York. June 2026. Takeda CEO transition, Julie Kim. Red, full analysis, Biomed, Nexus. Pro, institutional intelligence brief, ASCO plenary. What revolution needs to show? We know the headline, 13, 2 months OS versus 6, 7 months, HR 0. 40, what we need from the plenary, PFS data, not yet disclosed, a strong PFS result, HR 0. 50, would confirm that daraxonrasib delays progression and extends survival, strengthening the approval case and the commercial positioning. Subgroup analyses. Does daraxonrasib work equally well across RAS mutation subtypes, G12D, G12V, G12C, others? Does it work in patients with prior immunotherapy, Does age, performance status, or geographic region affect outcomes? A broadly positive subgroup analysis supports a wide label. Mature survival curves. The top-line data came from the first interim analysis. Mature curves will show whether the survival benefit is sustained or converges over time. A sustained separation of the curves is the strongest possible result. Safety details. We know the drug was generally well tolerated. The plenary will provide detailed adverse event rates, dose modifications, treatment discontinuations, and quality of life data. Clean safety supports both approval and commercial adoption. Presenter commentary. Brian Wolpin, Dana-Farber, is one of the most respected pancreatic cancer investigators in the world. His framing of the data, particularly around clinical significance and practice-changing potential, will shape how oncologists interpret the results. ADC label expansion. Tracker 2026 date drug approval. Setting May 16 in HER2, AZN, DSNKY, early line TR2 plus breast cancer, neoadjuvant plus adjuvant. Curative May 22 data-away, AZN, DSNKY, first line metastatic TNBC first line 2, ADC label expansions in the first line or curative setting in 2 weeks, both from the AstraZeneca, Daiichi, Sankyo partnership, both targeting breast cancer subtypes. This is the ADC modality moving from late-line salvage therapy to front-line standard of care, the same trajectory that checkpoint inhibitors followed from 2015 to 2020. For Daiichi Sankyo's $14.6 billion oncology revenue target by 2030, these label expansions are essential. Each expansion adds a larger patient population. Early-stage and first-line patients outnumber late-line patients by multiples. Capital markets, ASCO week. Positioning. ASCO typically drives significant stock movement for companies presenting pivotal data. Revolution Medicines, RVMD, is the most obvious mover. The stock has already risen from $96 pre-phase 3 data, April 12th, to approximately $149 post-data 2B raise, mid-April. The plenary presentation could drive another leg up if the detailed data confirm the top line, or pull back if PFS or subgroups disappoint. Other stocks to watch during ASCO: Merck, Keytruda franchise updates, BMS checkpoint combinations, Gilead, Trodelvy data in new tumor types, AstraZeneca, Daiichi, Sankyo, ADC pipeline updates, and smaller biotechs presenting phase 2 data that could trigger M&A interest. Catalyst calendar, ASCO week and beyond date event tickers. Thursday, May 29 ASCO 2026 opens, Chicago. Multiple May 29 FDA RTCT public comment period closes and Saturday, May 31 ASCO plenary, Resolute 302, full data RVMD June. 2 ASCO 2026 closes multiple June. 4 Jefferies, Global Healthcare Conference, New York. Multiple June 2026 Takeda CEO transition, Julie Kim, TAC late. Q2 Lilly Foundeo T2D filing under CNPVLLY Q3 2026 Revolution Medicines, Daraxonrasib approval projected, Truist, RVMD July, T1 Medicare, GLP-1 Bridge Program launches, LLY, NVO Q3 2026 Teva, Email-X, close expected Teva July 31 section, 232 Pharma tariffs, effective, large companies, multiple H2 2026 Foundayo, T2D regulatory action, expected LLY H2 2026 Lilly, Colonia close, expected LLY H2 2026 Ajax, proof of concept data, expected LLY H2 2026 Merck, SAC TMT filing, expected MRK 2026 Triumph H2, Retatrutide T2D, readout expected LLY 2026 Triumph H3, Retatrutide CV disease, readout expected LLY 2027 Retatrutide launch, anticipated BMO Licept, 19 Ultragenics UX1111, PDUFA, Sanfilippo Type A, gene therapy. Rare Sept 29, Section 232, Pharma tariffs, effective, all other companies. Multiple Deck 7 Lilly investment community, meeting LLY visit the Pro Hub read, full article, limited ASCO week sponsorship slots available, May 29th, June 2nd. Reach 65,000 plus professionals during the biggest oncology event of the year. Learn more. Is your company listed in the Biomed Nexus directory? 104 companies across 14 categories. Claim or upgrade your listing. Sponsorship slots for 2026 are limited. See packages and pricing. New Biomed Nexus signals weekly sales intelligence for life sciences. BD teams learn more.